What's going on, everyone? Welcome to what is going to be my rendition of the introduction and overall idea of the Lost Woods Draft League Season 2 playoffs. Um, I am Ronald, coach of the Watchhogs. I don't have my camera on this time because of just the sheer space I've tried to fill into this. Um, This draft league for me has been very enjoyable. I think personally, I have grown a lot as a player and builder through this league. But after 8 weeks, we are left with our top 8 teams, which are in on our screen: the Boston Blackjacks, the Waltham Watchhogs, the Northern Neuverns, the Battleboro Breloom, the New York Ninetails, the Rambunctious Reggies, the Macho Mudkips, and the Good Guy Gudras. So going to be going through just my overall idea of the playoffs, go over the standings. I have some what I believe are my power rankings going into the playoffs. I'll analyze each of the matchups and then or I'll soft analyze and then I will give my overall predictions for the season. So, to start, here are top 8 standings. Jake of coach of the Boston Blackjacks leads off in first with 18 points and a plus 17 record. Liam's close behind with 17 points plus 13. Then we have our 5 threes led by me with 17 points and a plus 15 record, followed by Rockwell of the Good Guy Gudras, 15 points plus 20. Mr. B of the New York Ninetails, 14-14. Chris of the Macho Mudkips, 5-3, with 13 points. And John of the Rambunctious Reggies, also sitting at 5-3 with 12 points and a plus 7. Elena is the only 4-4 in with 13 points, but a -4 differential. Overall, very close season. I think, unfortunately, we did have one person go not win a game. Everyone else was we had 1-2-6, but everyone else was very close together. Overall, it was a very tight season. So overall, I just want to talk about the teams, and I'm going to go over what I believe are my personal power rankings. This is before we begin. This is my opinion, um, and I'll explain my logic for each of them. If you believe I am wrong, I'm okay with that, and I would like you to go prove me wrong because that is what these opinions should be about. So, in eighth, I have the Battleboro Relooms led by Elena. Elena's one thing, Elena had the hardest strength of schedule out of the entire league, um, including those not in playoffs. Against playoff teams, Elena went 2-3. And just overall, to talk about the team, it is a rain team, like more of a soft rain team with the Archalodon, Basque Legion, Murkrow, and then it's full of heavy damage dealers. You have your Ogerpon. You've picked up Elena picked up Terrakion earlier, or not early, but latish in the season. That can pair with that. Archalodon can pair with Ogerpon. Monkey Dory picked off Grimmsnarl, and then there's a bunch of very nice picks. Mamoswine is a great coverage Pokemon for this team. Hisuian Sneasel is very good when worked well. Chansey, and then Shroomis to end off. Overall, I think the 8th place I put Elena because they are the lowest ranked team, and they also had an end of season skid. Of course, they played against very good players in Hannah, Cheeseboy, and Liam. Um, but we are power rankings are where we stand at the time. Um, Elena does have a good team, and I want to say anyone in the playoffs can make a run. Like this is wide open. I can see every person as a team that's able to win. I just think out of all the teams, I'd put Elena in the last spot, but open to anything. In the 7th spot, I have stuck with the rankings. I put John of the Rambunctious Reggies. Overall, John had the 6th hardest schedule, 4th hardest out of playoff teams. Against playoff teams, he only went 1-3. Um, I did play Elena. I also played John. Very scary team, especially you've got a lot of power up front with Reggie Drago. Trigger Wrap is a fantastic option. Iron Valiant is also a great option with everything. Pledge moves, I always love to see. Torterra is a really great pick. Infernape, Hisuian Samurott, all great options. You have Thwackey for some control. You want a Trick Room option, you got Rhyperior, Hisuian Samurott. This is a team that John drafted very well. I don't think there's been any changes made. And I think his 5-3 record, with how difficult his schedule has been, shows how he is as a player and a drafter has improved. Um, he has struggled a bit against the playoff teams. He is 2-7 in games against playoff teams, which is unfortunate. But John is coming off a big win in against AJ to secure the spot. He is going to be a very dangerous team to watch out for. John is someone I don't really want to play again. Um, and I think he has a very legitimate shot to make a run overall. This will be my first maybe interesting pick for power rankings. At number 6, I have the good guy Gudras, ranked 4th, coached by Rockwell. Overall, his strength of schedule was tied with 11th. I don't know who it's tied with. Um, and then his playoff strength of schedule was 5th. Um, the reason I have Rockwell in 6th is just because of a minor skid at the end. I'm always someone that likes to go after the hot hand, and Rockwell dropped 2 of his last 3. It's still a very dangerous team. It's one I don't want to play. Rockwell built a draft team that he wanted to play with. He got Iron Hands, Politoed, Jugulis. Sinisha, after that Ivan set, is a beast. Baxcalibur, Wheezing Toadstool, Iron Moth, and then some recent transactions. He's added Lucario and Oranguru to the lineup, which I am a huge fan of Oranguru. Um, that is a mon that is very good for a lot of reasons. Um, Although I have him at 6th, Rockwell is 3-1 against playoff teams. He knocked off Chris, he knocked off John, and he knocked off Jake. His only loss was to Mr. B, but he did pick up a game. But then again, he may or may not be playing Mr. B in the playoffs. Overall, I think Rockwell is going to be one of the hardest teams to prep into in the playoffs, regardless of his ranking, because a lot can change with Rockwell's team. He's got a ton of different modes. He built the team exactly how he wanted to, and he's going to just be dangerous overall in the playoffs. Someone that, although it's I have him at 6th, I believe will make a run. In 5th place, I have the Macho Mudkips, coached by Chris. He's ranked 6th. He had the 3rd hardest schedule, 2nd of playoff teams with a record of 2-3. This is my round 1. Chris, very dangerous team. Took a tough loss to Rockwell, but one thing since that is Chris has managed to stay in so many games that his record shows that. Um, he's won at least one game out of every set. Um, Although some of his games have been very unlucky or RNG, I think the fact that he's still won these games shows how he is as a player and how dangerous this team will be able to be. Cornerstone as a beginning is, I believe, the kill leader. I believe that is the kill leader in the league. Whimsicott just supports everything on this team. Walking Wake's great, King Gambit's great, Arcanine's great, Pawmot's great. He's picked up the Mudsdale and exchanged for Poltergeist, Esperatha, Corviknight. This is again a very strong team. Won 2 of his last 3. Took a very tough loss to Jake, but that was a great set that if I'm Chris, I hang my head high about, or hold my head high, I should say. I think Chris will be able to make a very solid run. 4th place, I have the New York Ninetales, who are ranked 5th, coached by Mr. B. Overall, they had the strength of schedule of tied with 14th, out of playoff team 7th, and they are 1-2 against playoff teams. A lot of modes very upfront with this team. Ursa Blood Moon, Dragapult, Gothitelle, Amoonguss. That is These top four are very strong trickery mode, and then Dragapult cleans up out of Trick Room. On top of that, Hariyama can pair very well with that. Iron Boulder's just a beast. And then you have a snow mode with Articuno and Alola Ninetales. Then you got Bishop and Kricketune. Um, I'm really not too sure what they're doing there. Highlight of the schedule, although only 1 and 2 against playoff teams. Mr. B knocked off Rockwell last week, which is why I propelled him above Rockwell and Chris. This team is very strong. Admittedly, I do believe that if you can handle the modes, it's manageable. But this is a team that if you don't prep well, you will get outpaced very fast by this roster, and it is very strong. Um, Overall, and it has a lot of potential in this. Um, my next team may be a bit controversial. It will be controversial. I have the Boston Blackjacks, which is the number 1 team. Overall strength of schedule 5th with a playoff strength of schedule 3rd, 2-2 against playoff teams. The only reason I have them lower than normal is because of these last this last game loss against me, and then going to 3 games against Chris. Otherwise, this is probably the best roster in the league. I don't think Jake has any bad matchups. I think he's not as hot as he was at the beginning of the season, but he will. This will be the hardest team. I don't want to play him again, because rematches against draft are way more harder for the person that won. Um, Jake will go on a run. I have no doubt about that. I will be very surprised if he doesn't. This team is just good. Look at it. Volcarona, Rillaboom, Clefable, Incin. That's a right H core. Metagross, Zoroark, Vaporeon. Great pieces to surround it. Como, that's a sweeper on its own. Raikou, I think a very good mon that a lot of people overlooked. Rhydon, same thing, but we haven't seen it used that much. Jake is 2-2 against playoff teams. His only 2 losses came to playoff teams, which I believe he's the only person in the league to do that. Which don't quote me on that, but it's a possibility. Um, this team will be good. Nobody has an easy matchup into this team. To beat Jake, you have to both out prep him and outplay him. If you can't do one, you might be able to do it if you don't out prep him, but if you don't outplay him, he's just gonna walk all over you no matter how good your prep was. So this is a team again very strong, first for a reason. Um, in second, I placed myself. Yes, I am a little biased. I only had the 13th overall strength of schedule, with a playoff strength of schedule 6th. I am 3-1 against playoff teams. My only loss coming to Chris. Um, I think I think my team is very strong for what I wanted to do. Um, I won't go too much into it. I have Landorus Therian, Screamtail, Glastrier, Meowscarada, Dozo, Latios, Regieleki, Magmar, Toxapex, Malamar, Knucklestack. I think I've gotten everything I've wanted. I think I built 2 cores that can work very well together with Lando, Regieleki, and Glastrier, and then Toxapex, Meowscarada, and Magmar. Um, or even not Toxapex, I think Dozo's more of that core in this case. I've used Latios how I wanted to. I've used Lando how I've wanted to. Overall, I've had a lot of fun. This team. I think the only justification I have for going above Jake is that I did knock him off in week 7. Otherwise, I've had a very decent season. In all my sets, I've won at least 1 game. That is something I am proud of, and that I think I'm coming into the playoffs in a decent spot. Will I be able to convert it? I'm not sure. Overall, at the 1 seed for the power rankings, I have Liam of the Northern Noivern. And my reason, Liam is second in the league. It doesn't. He has a strength of schedule of 16th, admittedly, which is last in the league. But look at these last 6 weeks. The man has lost 1 game. He's 12-1 in games after the first 2 weeks. He's 2-1 against playoff teams with his only playoff loss to Jake. Um, this team has improved, with especially with the addition of Iron Crown. Um, Indeedee Female and Sneasler are a very good core. Iron Crown's a good core. You have Trick Room and Amorous, that's just very good. Shandy, Gliscor, Noivern, Crawdon, Beakable, Abomasnow, Stonejourner. Overall, it's a great team. I think Liam is number one on my rankings because he is the hottest team going into the playoffs. Will he convert it? I believe he will. He's knocked off a lot of very good teams. He's won the matchups that he's supposed to win. Um, when he's supposed to. This is a team I think that nobody really wants to play. I think you know exactly what he's going to do, but I don't think you're able to stop it necessarily. That is why I have him for this ending streak, even though he's second. That's why I have that one. I think Liam is in a very good spot, and he's on a very good hot streak overall. So overall, this is what our playoff bracket looks like. For season 2, we have in round 1 we have Jake taking on Elena, we have Rockwell taking on Mr. B, Liam taking on John, and myself taking on Chris. I believe these are right. If I'm wrong, that's kind of embarrassing. I'm gonna take a bit of a dive. I believe that's into each of the matchups going on. So there's a lot going on in all of them, which I think will be interesting. We'll start off with the 4-seed Rockwell playing the 5-seed Mr. B. This should be a Tuesday at 7 p.m. I apologize, the stream is a bit crunched. Looking over the matchup, you can see some immediate things. First off, Mr. B's gonna have a stronger Trick Room mode. You have hands versus hands, but you have the Amoonguss that will separate it. If you can get the Ursaluna Blood Moon working in Trick Room, that's gonna be very good. You just gotta find a way to make sure Iron Hand doesn't disrupt it. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we saw both players go for a Trick Room option here. I think both of them could use it very well, but I don't think either of them necessarily need it. Week 7, Rockwell put on a clinic with how Shinasa can be used. Another aspect of this match, just going up from here. You have a Weather Wars, you have Politoed against Ninetales. You have not too many mons on Rockwell's side, but you at least have the Iron Jugulus that can benefit from some rain stuff. You have the Articuno on Mr. B's side. I think an interesting thing to note is that I think Rockwell is going to benefit more from the snow than Mr. B will benefit from the rain, which is something I'd watch out in this weather war. I think an interesting thing about Rockwell's team that I don't know if he's really brought out is that Toadscruel Weezing combination. Weezing, it has the 3 abilities of Levitate, Newt Gas, and Misty Surge. So he's got a lot of options on how to use it. I admittedly don't really know how he's used it. I haven't watched as much, but I don't think he's gone hard with the Toadscruel yet and gone with those options. Looking at the top of the lists for the teams, the fast mons, Iron Jugulus is very good at just control. Iron Moth, similar thing. But it's Mr. B's heavy hitters. It's going to be the Iron Boulder and the Dragapult that I think will be able to set this matchup apart this time around. Very, very strong stuff overall. I don't really need to explain why. I believe that's the case. It's just everything is super good on this top damage wise. How Rockwell prevents that damage will see whether or not he can win this matchup. Like I said, I'm gonna attempt to go through. I'm not making much sense in most of these things. I think, at least looking at this up front, the snow mode does have. I think Mr. B will be in control of this game. I should start by saying that. I think the snow mode, considering at least the weaknesses on Sinistra, Jug, and Toadscruel, can set Rockwell back a bit. I think if anything on his team gets Hurricane, maybe the Articuno. I'm not sure that can take the rain. Um, Gothitelle with psychic moves. Um, Not sure what else he's got. But that will be able to give him options. I do think Mr. B would benefit more from the Trick Room as well. Um, but I'm not sure what he really wants to do. As for Rockwell, I think correctly utilizing this Iron Moth is going to be huge, especially into a fire weak team. Um, I know that Rockwell has Rain. That's going to be very tempted to bring. However, this is such a huge fire weakness that Iron Moth should go, in my opinion, kind of crazy. Yes, water absorb, or not water absorb, but water moves hit decently into everything except for Amoonguss. But this 2-time weakness, if you can get this Iron Moth out of control, I think that will be very strong. If you want to continue with the water stuff, you can hit these bottom 4 Mons, all super effective with Iron Jug Hurricane. Guaranteed hit, guaranteed damage. You can pair that next to, say, a Muddy Water. That's going to be a lot. Um, I'm not really sure what else Rockwell considers for this game. I think Rock Slide could be a very interesting option, um, especially onto all these Mons over here. Any steel moves, this Lucario could come out. I just skipped ahead. I apologize. Um, but yeah, I think Rockwell will have the decision on if this is going to be a Trick Room game 100%. But due to the Inner Focus Imprison option that he has, unless Mr. B goes for, say, a taunt into that, which can be blocked by a Mental Herb, we'll have to see. I think one of the unique things about this matchup, though, is that they already played. And when did they play? Last week. So we have the ability to look at what both these guys wanted to bring into one another. For context, Mr. B won this matchup 2-1. I did not watch this match, unfortunately. I don't know what it is or what the result. But looking at it, no Iron Moth. I just talked a bit about Iron Moth with his fire weakness. No Iron Moth came. He leaned into the Politoed hitting and the Hurricane stuff. He brought Life Orb Oranguru with Symbiosis instead of Inner Focus, which very cool tech. Tried to take advantage of the steel stuff and brought Loaded Dice Icicle Spear. Went with the Misty Seed for Spores and Misty Terrain, and then brought Iron Hands. Overall, this plan from Rockwell, I think, as we see, very, very strong. In response, Mr. B did bring the Gothitelle with Taunt. Brought the Iron Boulder and the Dragapult that will get out of control. Brought a special Dragapult as well with Thunderbolt Flamethrower. Thunderbolt Dragapult I'm a very huge fan of into this Rain Core. That will probably be very annoying. A Guavberry on Amoonguss. Guts with CC knockoff Headlong, so no Wide Guard. I skipped ahead again. Yeah, overall, two very interesting ideas. The Terra Steel on Amoonguss is definitely very risky considering the Iron Moth, and the commitment not to bring the Snow mode, I guess, kind of helps because he's going to want to bring Rain either way. You brought all your heavy hitters. And I'm not sure how, but Mr. B won this game, which probably is indication of prepping correctly. One thing about this matchup, though, Rockwell will learn from his mistakes. Rockwell is a very good draft player. Draft, it's always harder to win the rematch. Will Rockwell lean harder into the Trick Room mode? I personally believe so. I think he's got a lot of cool techs. He's got the Play Rough, Heavy Slam, Drain Punch. He's got Dark Pulse Hurricane. He brought Weather Ball Muddy Water. He he brought a lot of the weaknesses except for the final one, which not as exposable here due to Mr. B not bringing as much because almost none of this stuff came. The only thing that came was well, the Dragapult's wrong at the top, but ignore that. Um I really hope this dock isn't messed up now. I don't think it is, but everything makes sense except the Dragapult. Um so yeah, overall, this will be a very interesting matchup. I think the modes that these guys decide to go with before the game in prep will be interesting. Do we bring the weather modes, trick room modes, speed modes? Because Rockwell brought all three. Um, and Mr. B admittedly only brought two of them. Or no, he only brought one of them. He did not bring a trick room mode. You can say he brought Hariyama Moonless, but without the intention of setting up trick room. So it'll be, we'll say 1.5 modes. So that is what I find very interesting for a possibility into this matchup is what modes will each of them end up bringing. Um, Overall, this will be a very good set. I think the fact that they have played Week 8 means they have a lot of each other's ideas fresh on their mind. To see what they need to adjust. It is a set I will rewatch probably tonight just to see like how they played it, and overall, it'll be cool. I think it'll be interesting to see how both them to each other. Moving on, playing I believe on Wednesday evening we're gonna have Liam. Looking at this matchup, we just if we evaluate Ian's team immediately, this is Sneasel. That is wrong. This should be Sneasler. Do not look at that. Do not ask me why that is Sneasel. Was I kind of rushing this? Yes, but no comment. So we have. This makes me think. Did I mess up? I didn't mess up anywhere else. So, or at least not on Liam stuff. So you have the Indeedee and the Sneasler. That's just going to be a pain in the ass for John to deal with anyway. Just to start off, you have Iron Crown. That's another fast mon. You have the Noivern. That's another fast mon. This entire top team throwing Gliscor as well. That's another fast mon. Counter that, John has the Iron Valiant. He has Zapdos. He has Infernape. But the Indeedee on its own will be a very big issue for John to solve. I think this game, it's not going to be, in my opinion, necessarily what will John do. It's how will he stop Liam. This is a game that will see some interesting mons come out. There's terrain wars in this game. There is pledge moves in this game. You have your very fast Pokemon as well as your very slow Pokemon. Liam might be more uncomfortable to go Trick Room in this game that he is liked to do because Rhyperior will be sitting on the other side. Probably, if John brings it, probably will be Assault Vest, but that's going to be harder for him to deal with. We want a Weather Mode, probably not going to come, but Abomasnow always an option depending on what you are expecting. Overall, in my opinion, it's gonna be depending on what is brought. How fast can Sneasel go? Sneasler go. I'm going to search up real quick the Sneasler speed stat because I'm very annoyed that this was Sneasel, just so I know and don't have to question myself for Sneasler. So it looks like a 120 base stat, which is going to be faster than everything. So Liam will be in firm control of what is going to happen in this game. I think how John responds to all this. Thwacky will, in my opinion, be an option that can come. I think John, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw John go for the Trick Room mode in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if Liam brought some stuff that might hinder getting it set up. I think this game, it's going to be can John stop the size spam? And I think the Hisuian Samurai will be good for that, except for the fact that it might be weak to close combat Sneasler, which might be able to destroy it. Um, Overall, I think Liam is in the driver's seat for this matchup. Liam, his team weaknesses: Rock, Dark, Fairy. What Pokemon that might be extremely fast that knows close combat and Dire Claw would be able to cover all of those options? Overall, probably won't be very fun for John to get through those. John does have some rock options. He has the Rhyperior, which I think this Trick Room mode for John is going to be huge. Why? John is also liked Nasty Plot or Calm Minding and clicking Dazzling Gleam. That's a lot of damage. Suin Samurott. Dark. If John wants to go for a surprise, Reggie Draco is not a surprise but will do damage. Same for Iron Valiant. Overall, I think Liam has a very positive matchup into this. I think his ability to possibly bring the Abomasnow, bring the Sneasler for close combat stuff, and just overall everything on this team will just hurt John. Not too much more to say about it. I'm trying not to talk too long, but I do think John is going to have to play his pieces exceptionally well to get through Liam's team. All right, moving on. Sometime on a weekday, to be determined, we have Jake versus Elena. This is a game that is very honestly interesting for both people. And here's why. Jake's team is built a lot around setup and fake out. That has been his bread and butter for the entire season. I think the times he's struggled in game is when he hasn't been able to put that fake out pressure safely. Elena has Bastion Legion. That thing will hit hard, and it hits a lot of John's team for either neutral or super effective. For example, is this correct? Yes. Water can't hit Vaporeon if it is water or hydration or water absorb. So it can't touch Vaporeon. However, it hits everything except for Como or for Rillaboom for neutral. That's wrong. That's another thing that's wrong. Why is Rillaboom wrong? Rillaboom is wrong. My entire thing is wrong. It can't hit Rillaboom. It can't hit Como. Everything else it should hit. Ghost types, it can hit those same things. No, it does not hit Rillaboom for super effective. Bastion Legion will be a problem for Jake to deal with. He very well might need to get set up. He might need to get pressure with Raikou. I think Raikou will be a very good piece in this game if he wants to go for Scald stuff. Or just consistent damage, especially. I think Elena has a surprising amount of options into this team. I think whether or not Jake can also get through this Archaludon will be interesting. Based on just how bulky it is, and whether or not he can get around the setup orientation. On top of this, Grimstar is phenomenal for screens. We probably can see Mamoswine in this matchup. Um, I think Murkrow will come just to put an insane amount of pressure on. Ogerpon Archaludon will be annoying. I think Jake's major counterplay, the best, in my opinion, will be Rillaboom, especially Grassy Glide stuff. Can he get it off? Will be hard because Rillaboom. I don't think actually. No, there's no real reason for Elena to bring a Grassy Glide of their own. Um, it's hard to say. Um, I do think Elena has tools here. I think the Monkey Dory is also an option. I'm assuming Elena's got beat up somewhere on this team for Terrakion. This is a matchup that I have a lot less open opinions on because I think it will be very hard to predict what Jake is going to do in this game. I think Elena is in the driver's seat when it comes to offense, but if Jake is able to effectively prep against Elena, whether it's the Zoroark, whether it's because I think a Sash Zoroark is very possible here, whether it's the Zoroark, whether it's the Vaporeon for the rain, whether it's the Raikou, Rillaboom, whatever Elena might, or whatever Jake might bring, even if it's the Incineroar into this team, it's going to be interesting and decently hard for Jake to get around no matter what. It'll be a very good matchup, hopefully. I think, as with the other games, I think all 4 games are surprisingly even matchups, regardless of record. And I think, although he's the 1 seed, if Jake lets Elena get out of control without bringing enough checks as well as his own offense, it will not go very well for Jake. I think he will lean into some Scarf stuff. I think he will lean into a gimmick or two. But I think Elena will do the same thing, and this will be a very good matchup. Last matchup, it's me against Chris. We are playing Saturday at 12. This is a matchup I am very familiar with, except for some more recent additions that we can talk about. So, this team, for me, I'm almost always going to have speed control in these games. But Chris is the one team that does give me a bit of a run for my money when it comes to speed control. You have Tailwind Rim. My team is faster. You have Regieleki, Meowscarada, Screamtail can boost your energy, Latios. It's just a fast team overall. Along with this, it is probably the slowest team in the league, bringing Dozo, Toxapex, Knucklestack, and Glastrier. Also, you have some mid-speed mons with Lando Magmar. Chris is able to rival this surprisingly well. You have Whimsicott, which can click Tailwind. You have Whimsicott, which can click Sunny Day, that boosts up this Walking Wake. You have the Palmont Fake Out options. Esperalfa can get speed boosts. Arcanine is a pain in the ass. Corviknight. Chris brought Corviknight into one person this season. It was me, and it kind of cooked me. Kingambit is a very strong option. Poltergeist and Mudsdale is a new option that was not there before, but will give me a lot more issues inside of Trick Room. Because it can equal the Dondozo, which we have played before, and I really liked the Dondozo like he liked the Corviknight. Overall weaknesses, I'm not going to talk too much because this is my match, and if he watches this, I don't know. Hi, Chris, if you are. I don't want to give too much away. But from what we do know, Chris is looking for his standard 6 offense. He brought the Wims over upon Wake, and then Korg was very good into my team. He brought the King Gamut, and he brought the Arcanine. Will stuff change on his end? I can say with about 90% certainty, yes. Will things change on my end? I can say with 90% certainty, yes. Because this is another rematch in which Chris walked away with this win, 2-1. He was my only loss to a playoff team. What did I go for this game? Cursed Body pressed up with Dozo. I'd Scarf Lando. I'd Latios, Malamar, Meowscarada, and Screamtail. What did this give me? It gave me a Trick Room option with Malamar that let me live. Screamtail could take advantage of sunny days and still have an item. Meowscarada just hit hard. Latios was here to hit hard specially. I didn't bring it. And it was a very solid team overall. Chris's team equally solid. Covert Cloak Corv was the star of the show for him. Arcanine was a very good support mon along with Whimsicott. Wake was here. It didn't do too much. King Gamut did even less. And then the Cornerstone. I won't say too much. I think both of us executed our strategies in our last game very well. This game happened a month ago. So a lot has changed in how we look at the teams. Whether it's me or Chris, I think the question will come down to do each of us double down on our strategies? Do I double down with the Dozo and Meowscarada? Does he double down with the Corv and the Arcanine? Those were the two things that really separated our teams from the rest of the Mons on them. So it will be extremely interesting to see what each of us wanted to run. I think between the two of us, Chris was definitely more creative in this matchup. 2 taunts, 4-move Gambit with Dread Plate, Terra Dark. Covert Cloak Corv for Knackle Stack, which is a very good idea. I think this might be the only time he's brought out the special, or the support Arcanine. But it worked very, very, very well. And then the Wake. Nothing crazy, just a shit ton of damage. Overall, this will be a very hard game. You look at the weaknesses on each of our team. I have ground as a big weakness. Mudsdale's on the team now. I've got Rock. Ogerpon is a mon that exists. As for Chris, Fire's a big one. Magmar was the fire centerpiece of my team. We've got Fighting, which I have body press stuff for on Blaster and Dozo. Ground, Landorus exists, nothing too crazy. Ghost. Admittedly, I don't have a ghost option, but I might be able to find something, I don't know. But overall, this will be a very good game. I'm looking forward to prepping to this probably tomorrow. So yeah, that is my very bad haphazard match opinions. All of these matches will be very good, and very close. So this is my playoff predictions. So my official prediction is, in a completely unbiased way, I'm gonna win. But no, in all seriousness, I did predictions because I both want to say how I see the matchups happening, and also just give some people something to prove me right or prove me wrong. So I'm gonna try to be unbiased in these predictions. So with that, I have just said Chris, done this assuming Chris beats me, just to move on. So I'm not biased towards my team. Looking at the matchups, starting with Jake and Elena, I do have Jake winning the game. I think Jake's a 1 seed for a reason. This is a very much a Reg H versus Reg H game where you have the two of the strongest Reg H mons going against the strongest Reg H support core. This will be a good game, but I do think Jake has the tools to slow down Elena and get through. Um, my next prediction between Rockwell and Mr. B, they just played week 8. Mr. B got the win. In the rematch, I am taking Rockwell. I think Rockwell will adjust very well to the rematch. I think Rockwell has the tools to adjust, and Rockwell will see what is strong, what is stronger, and I think also with the idea of what Mr. B wants to do, I do think he will be better off in this matchup than before. Between Liam and John, I am taking Liam in the matchup. I think the fast side spam mode will be a bit overwhelming for John. Um, I don't think I have to say too much more about it, but I think Liam will take the victory in this case. For our top 4, it's another rematch between Jake and Rockwell, and although I do believe that rematches have a big thing going for them, I do think Rockwell will stay ahead of Jake in this matchup. I think if Jake has bad matchups, Rockwell is definitely one of them. Jake has a BGC team that is very strong, but Rockwell has a very strong draft team. And that is what I think will be able to propel Rockwell in this matchup. Um, I think Jake will adjust well, but I think Rockwell will be able to read into those adjustments and play very well. Um, I believe this if this were to happen, this would be a very good game between Chris and Liam. Um, two just very good players. Um, I did give this to Chris though. Um, Liam's very strong in Chris's team, but I think Chris's ability to I don't know how to say it, his ability to weasel out of tough spots this season in games has been very, very good. I think um that the side spam mode that Liam has is very strong overall. However, I think Chris has terrain options with Whimsicott to take away from the Indeedee. I'm not 100% sure on that, but those can change. The King Gambit will be a huge part in taking down the Sneasler. That will oppose a lot of Chris's Mons very well. This is a game that, if it happens, it goes to 3 games no matter what. I think if this were to happen in top 4, it's a very good example of 2 very good teams going against each other and seeing which one will come out. I 100% see a world where Liam can win, but I do think Chris is better. Or will pick up the win. Not necessarily better, but yeah. So this will be my finals, Rockwell and Chris. Overall, this is a rematch from week 1. And again, I'm sticking with Rockwell to win the rematch. Um, I think Rockwell's team is just very good. I think Chris will have trouble into it in this matchup, similar to week 1. Week 1 is always interesting. I think you're learning the team, and I think Chris has learned a lot about his team, but I also think Rockwell has as well. And I think both of them will build for the matchup very differently than they did previously, but I still think Rockwell is able to prep for the harder things that Chris and trickier things that Chris might bring. Again, because I said it's close, if Liam wins, I still think Rockwell will do very well because of the train, but the Sneasler, in my opinion, based on this bracket, anyone can win this bracket. I'm going to be completely honest. Do I have Rockwell winning? Yes. You might say I have Rockwell as my 6th seed for the power rankings. That's because they're a ranking. This is the actual game. This is much different than the actions. Words and actions do not overlap in this case, and I think while I say Rockwell might be the 6th rank right now, I think he will go on a run and win. If you told me that Jake went all the way, that Elena went all the way, that Mr. B, Chris, any of these 8 people went all the way, I wouldn't be surprised. I think this will be a very good playoffs. Admittedly, I do think this is going to be much more competitive than last playoffs. That's just me, though. I think last playoffs was still great, but I am a huge fan of basically every team in this playoffs. I think there's a bit of everything left, and I have a lot of excitement to watch these playoffs. Um, Overall, thanks for watching. If you're listening, watch. I don't know. I kind of just talked to myself for maybe an hour, probably an hour, and I probably talked very poorly about the matchups. But at the same time, I'm just looking at visual stuff. I'm trying not to like let people overheat the oven, um, and take my word for it. But I think this will be a very good way to end off the season. I think all 7 matches will be competitive, and I'm looking forward to playing in them. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in my next prep video against Chris for this week.